What's up, Savages? Welcome to the Savage Syndicate podcast, where I inspire the average person how to become hard to kill. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. Each one of my guests is going to help you become hard to kill in one of those aspects. So sit back, enjoy, subscribe, share, and stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill. All right, you guys, thank you for coming on to another Savage Syndicate podcast. I have my guest, Brian Swan. As you guys know, I always try to have a guest on that helps you become hard to kill physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. And I think my man, Brian, checks off pretty much all four of those. You'll find out during his story how. But thank you, Brian. I appreciate you coming on. Awesome background. I'll start with that right there.
Well, this is, I'm in Bali. I could look over the other way, but I'm not right on the cliff. We got the ocean views over Bingin, Uluwatu, Padang, Padang. But this is kind of like the country view. This is the Uluwatu Hills of Bali. We just built this place just 4 stories and finished in June. So this is our spot for our home base for the last 8 years.
Well, thank you for making the time, because if you're a lot like me, we'd probably rather be surfing than sitting behind a computer right now. But thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's flat right now, so I'm not missing anything right now.
We get a lot of work done when there's no surf, for sure. I'm the same way. When it's flat, I'm like trying to cram everything into that flat spell.
Absolutely, my man. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So like we talked earlier, how we got in each other's network. I started following you because you live in Bali, started posting all the pictures of you surfing. And so I dug a little deeper, and here's your quick bio. You're an entrepreneur, a journalist, an engineer, traveler, co-founder of the Unstoppable Branding Agency, and founder of Unstoppable Beard. So kind of go through the levels of that. But why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and just who you are, Brian.
I'll thank you for that. Appreciate that. So I'm gonna go back into where I grew up as a surfer. I grew up in 1,400 kilometers away from the ocean. So I grew up in a small little town called Cambridge, Illinois, 3 hours west of Chicago. When I was 5 years old, I got cable. I'm 49 years old, turning 50 in May of 2024. And I remember seeing every Tuesday night it was either Surfer's Journal or some surfer magazine. And I would watch surfing. I was so intrigued by it to where I'm like, what's this surfing thing? But I never lived by the ocean. Well, fast forward, my dad and my mom divorced when I was 6 years old. At the age of 9, I realized my dad was gay. Age of 11, he contracted AIDS. 16 is when he passed away from AIDS. So why is this relevant? From the age of 11 to 16, I got to see what death was. He didn't know when you had not like COVID where it's a flu, but if you had AIDS, it's a death sentence back in the day, right? So you gotta go back. This is 16, so I'm 49. So 33 years ago is when he passed away. 38 years ago when he contracted it. And it was at this moment, we never talked about it once. I have a brother that's 4 years older, and my sister that's 7 years older. But there was a switch with my dad that he knew he had an expiration date. And when you know that your days are numbered, what are the things that you're going to be doing today? So from the age of 11 years old, my dad was just like, there was a switch with him. He was an entrepreneur. We had the first variety store in America, so all the Walmarts, Kmarts and stuff, we were the first one called Swans. We didn't franchise. Otherwise you would know of Swans versus Walmart and stuff. But it was my grandfather that did that. So he was a businessman, but everything switched when he knew that my days are numbered. So if you think of the movie The Bucket List, right, with Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicklaus, I forgot, I always mess it up with the golfer and the other one, but they go travel around the world to go see all the places they want to see before they die, right? But my dad did it like 15 years ago before the movie, or maybe even 20, and he took my brother and my sister traveling all around the world. So I got to go to Egypt. I got to go to Europe. We went on cruises. We went through South America. And growing up in a town of 2,000 people that I did, shoveling shit, baling hay, and doing all this farm work, to going traveling the world, I'm like, oh my God, there's a big world out there. And I was seeing it through my own eyes versus encyclopedia back in the day, because there's no internet, right? And it was from those 5 years, it totally radically shifted the way that I looked at the world. So going from a little small town in Illinois, I went to the University of Illinois to become an engineer, robotics engineer. And my first, like, when I got there, 40,000 undergrad, or I think with graduate was like 50,000. There was more people my own age in the dorm rooms, like in one block, than my whole town. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Big Ten football, the fraternities, sororities, I'm like, it doesn't get any better. I'm like, I got 4 years of this shit, and then my life is going to be shit because I got to go get a job, I got to get married, and that's your whole life is done. Do you mind if I'll rattle off a few things and then we'll go back? But
Go ahead.
So it was my second year at university, and I was like, after a year, I'm like, there's got to be something more to life. I had this itch, and I'm like, I want to go travel. And I started seeing study abroad, and I was so naive that I only thought there was 2 other countries that spoke English besides the USA. I thought it was Australia and America and the UK. Literally, I thought those were the only 2 places that spoke English. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to UK because it's cold, rainy, and Australia's got hot chicks and weather. And I'm like, this surfing thing.
Yeah.
So even though I've never surfed or whatever, I'm like, I'm going there. I got off the plane, and the Aussies, I thought everybody hated Americans, but man, you're American in Australia, the chicks love you. I'm like, man, I played up the American part. I'm like, yeah, American as hell, man. American. They took me to the beach, and I saw this hot chick in a bikini, and I saw a guy catch a head high barrel, and I was like, sold. I'm like, whatever that is, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. And that's where I learned how to surf, is in Australia. And then I came to Bali. This was 1994. And then in 95, because I stayed there for a year, I was in Perth, and my Aussie roommate goes, mate, we got to go to Perth, or got to go to Bali. I'm like, Bali? What's Bali? He goes, it's like a place you've never seen before. So I'm going in 1995, like, date this back. Like, shit is just like crazy here now. But man, I was just like, wow. So I was learning how to surf on the, Kuta. I didn't even know about Uluwatu or any of these things. Little did I know that fast forward, this is where I'm going to live, build my houses, restaurant. And my typical during the season, I will only surf like Uluwatu, Padang, and Bingen. It's like it's world-class surf breaks, or I don't surf.
Yeah, you've gotten spoiled now.
Oh, no, you should have saw COVID. Oh, COVID was the most miraculous time of my life. I loved it.
Yeah, I had a guy on. Well, he Turtle from North Shore. You know that movie?
Yeah.
I had him on the podcast. He got stuck out. I think it was in Bali, and he said it was just him and like a handful of guys out there for like 9 months.
Dude, it was most miraculous, beautiful time.
Yeah.
COVID 2.0. No, I'm in for it.
Hey, that might happen. You never know. Every day is freaking Groundhog Day out here, so it could happen.
Well, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be just in a different form.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to surf when you moved to? We will jump around but the surfing.
Yeah, no, go for it. I'm fluid. I can roll.
That's my number one passion is surfing. How long did it take you after you saw that guy get the head high barrel in Perth? I believe you said. Yeah,
in Perth and Scarborough Beach.
How long until you were getting barreled?
Oh no, I wasn't getting barreled. No, it took me a long time before I got barreled. I tried to learn how. I remember going to the surf shop in Australia. I said, "Yeah, mate, I'm learning how to surf." And he goes, "Oh, you should get a 9 now." And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I'm only here for." I think when I started, I only had 6 months left. I'm like, "No, I'm good at skateboarding. I know how to ski. I'm like, I can learn. So I started on a 6'4" and couldn't surf. It took me forever. And then I couldn't surf. And then I went back to University of Illinois, graduated, and then took a job out in California and moved to Newport Beach. And then I was in San Diego from 98 to 2008. So after a year trying to struggle again on a shortboard, I finally borrowed a longboard and was like, oh. So then that's where it started taking off. And then I just kept going bigger and bigger, and I started loving the bigger waves. And then went out to the North Shore, Sunset, I can do that. And then you go into Waimea. So I'm not a good surfer. I just can keep on going bigger. And so that's kind of where it's at. Now I feel like after 29 years, I'm finally getting my barrel riding down at Ulus and Padang to where I'm one with the wave now, but it's taken me all these years.
Well, I showed my son, I was going through your Instagram, and he says, who you having on the podcast next? And I said, you. And he saw one of your, he surfs big waves? I said, yeah, he's charging it. So you impressed my son, which is hard to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like the old man. It's funny, man, because when I go out to Padang, I just like the old dude showing up, and I just kept on showing up. That's one of the things, man. You just keep on showing up. And eventually I'm going to master this so I can just barrel ride. I'm good, just keep on showing up. That's what I've been doing.
Well, how hard is it for you? Because I know you were out in California a couple of weeks ago. How hard is it for you to surf those perfect waves and then come here, have the crowds, have the cold water, have the shittier wave? Like how do you transition, or do you even bother surfing?
I didn't even bother. There's everybody was out, and like, not going. If it would have been really excellent, and I would have went out, but it wasn't anything too great. I looked at Dana Point. What is it, Salt Creek? There's actually some fun waves. I wish I had a little bit of time. I would have paddled out just to kind of done it, tried it. But typically, you get so spoiled here, like so spoiled on how good it is, to where you're looking at other spots, you're just like, eh. But
yeah. Well, we were in Cabo for a couple months during summer, and we scored a perfect right point break that we like to serve. Perfect, and like you're out served, and then when you come home, and wasn't even inspired to put on a wetsuit and go to put a wetsuit on and do all that for shitty, a lot less. I was just like wasn't motivated. But then this last 2 weeks, it's really good in California because you got north and south swells combining. So September, October, November is really good. And it's been really offshore, really just barreling the last couple,
nice.
6 foot is good for us. And so I've been charging it, and it's been really fun. And I don't know, now it's
next time I come out for a warrior event in your neck of the woods, I'm gonna hit you up. So we're gonna get a session together for sure.
yeah, for sure. I love that. We're jumping around. Well, let me go back to you're traveling with your dad.
Yeah.
So how was that traveling? Like you're excited, you're seeing the world, but you also know why you're doing it. Was that hard on you and your dad? And I think you said you had a sibling. How was that because you're doing something extraordinary, you're spending time with your dad, but also with that cloud of like, this is the end. How was that doing? How did you do that?
Well, it's like back in the day, you didn't really talk about your feelings, like showing the love. It was not even a time that we talked about him having AIDS. It's just like, it's the weirdest thing. Like I discuss everything with my daughter. Like we're close. We show the love, we show the affection. Back in the day, I don't know if it was our family or just the way it was, but you never talked about shit. My dad never complained. He just kept on doing his shit. He'd go to the hospital. He wouldn't ask for any help. I was sometimes like embarrassed. My brother, when people realized he was gay, my brother was 15. He went to rehab at 15 years old because all his friends rejected him, and your dad's gay. I was 11, so I turned it into my victory story. By the time I got into high school, I was like, I'm going to turn this, like, what's horrible of my brother and sister going to drugs. I'm going to be the best athlete. I'm going to be the smartest kid. And I turned it into my fire, right? This is like, I'm not going to be the druggie. I'm not going to be this. And so when I went traveling with my father, it was you knew he was going to die, but then at the same time, you're like, okay. It's a weird, like, just to be just flat out honest, like, when he was getting so skinny, I was like, you're embarrassed. Your dad's gay. It was, this is back in the time to where it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And then I was nervous when we traveled. I didn't drink any water of his. I don't, because you didn't know if you're going to contract it. I wouldn't even go in the pool with him.
Yeah.
You know, it was crazy. So for the 5 years, there wasn't like that love, but I learned so much in those 5 years that's part of our DNA of our whole entire family. Because here's a little bit more of our story of why we're in Bali. Back here, I'm going to show you this. So my daughter's done all of my tattoos. I don't know if you can see that. Says November. That's Hanalei Bay, and November 25th, 2008. So that's when in 2007, 2008, we were in San Diego. My wife, she retired me from my corporate job as a robotics engineer, and we were crushing it in the online marketing world. Just started hitting seven figures back in 07, 08. We had 5 houses, golf course development deal out in Flagstaff. We were doing like, we're set for life. And then, just everything crumbled. And you went from a millionaire to buying a $5 burrito on your debit card, and you get a $35 non-sufficient fund fee. And you're like, how the fuck did I get $35 non-sufficient? I didn't even have the money to begin with. And now you're charging me 30, like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
It was at that moment to where we're like, well, what do we do? Do we rebuild? Or my wife, she said, I vowed when we know that we were fucked, we were just like there's no way out of this, of what's happening. And my wife, she made the reason she got started online was that she witnessed she worked for a pharmaceutical company, which was a prestigious thing. Then she's like, I'm killing people. When you find out how evil she's like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. And I vowed never to put my future child and our children in daycare. And so my daughter, she was 2 weeks old when we realized that we were screwed on this. And I said, so what are we going to do? She goes, well, it's like, what? She goes, what do you think? I said, well, I've got to see death when I was 16 years old. We're never guaranteed another day in our life. I'm going to move. I'm in the sun and it's hot as snot now. Hang on. I'm just going to move it. And I said, let's just sell all our shit and go travel in the world. And so we read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And it was a chapter in there that said that he had on called the mini retirement. And it was being able to operate a business anywhere around the world. And I went, this sounds like a genius idea. So we sold all our shit. My daughter was 1 year old. And on November 25th, 2008, we went to Hanalei Bay to start our travels because my daughter, we were married 20 years ago on the 28th of November. And so Hanalei, my daughter, was named after Hanalei Bay. And we started our travels. We said we're going to go on a 2-year trip around the world. And 15 years later, this is our home base in Bali. But we lived in about 25 different countries. My daughter's attended schools in like 10 different, places. And it's kind of where it spawned out from.
Nice. All right. There's a lot to unwrap there. Let's start with the 5 houses and everything. What was the online business then that was so successful that got you that life?
Well, we were just doing affiliate marketing for personal development. So kind of like they sold we had a 30-day personal development thing to where you could sell for $1,500. You make 1,000. So we were marketing. We created our own brand ourselves, and then so that was a personal development. And then it was events like a Tony Robbins event, but the people would pay $13,000, and you get to keep $8,000. So it was affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
And but what it did is it, I never heard about personal. I knew about Tony Robbins, and then this was before the movie The Secret and Law of Attraction and setting goals. So being an engineer, I was like, what is this about? So to really open my mind of like, wow, there's so much possibility from being in like a bubble of an engineer and kind of like just like not believing in anything to like, huh, man, if you really put your mind to doing some stuff, setting some goals and taking the action, shit, you can do kind of whatever you want in life. So that's where we got the start from. Was it kind of like the personal development industry way back when?
I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, but how hard was it for you to adjust from going to a 9 to 5 robotic engineer to traveling the world?
This from being a like when I was an robotics engineer, I was outside sales.
Mhm.
So I worked from home, which I couldn't believe they allowed a 22-year-old to work from home. And
And a
yeah,
surfer no less, right?
surf. Check this out. Like, so I got this lead one time, and it was for space rated actuators, electromechanical thrust actuators, and I'm like, it's about like in 2001, 2002, and like so I get it faxed over to me, like no joke, and I call it up, talk to the guy, and I go, it says that you're a rocket scientist. He goes, yes, I am a rocket scientist. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those funky sales calls. So he's up. It's by the LAX airport. I'm in San Diego. So he goes, I need to see you, immediately. I'm like, all right, well, let me just look. So I pull up Surfline, and I wanted to see when a south swell was coming up, because then I would surf trussels on the way up. So there was a swell coming in on Wednesday, and I said, looks like my first availability will be like 11 o'clock on Wednesday. He goes, okay, get up here. So I surfed trussels, lower trussels, beautiful session. I forgot to bring my water. So I went in to this company, and it was like very like I thought I was going to get carjacked when I was going through. I'm like, where is this place? Is this company called SpaceX? And I'm driving, and I'm like, huh, okay. So I get into this building. I ask for the guy, and he comes up, and I'm like, yeah. So you're a rocket scientist? He goes, yes, I am a rocket scientist. And I started laughing, kind of like giggling. Then he takes me down this corridor, and about 50 meters. Then I walk out, and there's a fucking rocket, 100-meter rocket on the floor. I'm like, holy shit, there's a rocket on the floor. He goes, I'm a rocket scientist. So I sat down with him and his rocket scientist dudes, and walked out of the place. Elon, they bought $60K worth of our shit. And then my boss calls me up. He goes, who did you just go see? Just nice little $60,000. I'm like, I don't know who this Elon dude is, but he's got a rocket in his freaking building. So that's my story of my rocket scientist and surfing trussels all in the same day.
And it's funny that you remember that Trussels was that good. But
Oh yeah,
that's the whole sales thing with me. I've been in outside sales before I jumped the corporate world, and I would always black out my windows of my trucks and stuff because I'd always have my board on my calls, and I'd always
yeah.
I was always in Orange County, so a lot of my days was like somehow I'd end up by the coast and checking it, and I always had a board in the car for that reason.
Of course,
Yep,
absolutely,
so surfers find a way, that's for sure. But
100%. So making the transition, I typically, because I was working corporate, what I learned, I probably only worked maybe 25, maybe 30 hours. It was actually pretty easy. I was a robotics engineer, but I was like outside sales. So what I learned early on was, how do I get paid the most, do the least amount of work, not get fired, and always have the prestigious. So I learned how to sell. So I remember my buddy giving me Zig Ziglar and Jim Rome cassette tapes, and I would listen, instead of listening to Howard Stern. I would put in these cassette tapes in, and I was like, "What is this black magic?" I learned how to like sell, and I would go in. Then I started doing more selling. So I just learned who I figured out the right people to put in, and I learned how to sell. So it was actually easy as a robotics engineer. And then when I went into the affiliate marketing, working with a company, all I had to do was market myself, and I used the same selling skills to where I can sell this personal development. And then when you're traveling, when we started our travels after we lost everything, it was easy. I'm like, I just marketed our lifestyle. Hey, you can do this like what I do and learn, you know. So then people found us. So it was kind of easy. Where the big transition happened is like when we started our own company over a decade ago. And then when you're like the full on entrepreneur, it's like a whole different ball game.
Mhm.
But the transition corporate to traveling the world, it was funny because when we started this, so this is crazy. Remember Vonage?
I just remember the visual of the what it looked like.
It was voice over IP. So we actually brought telephones,
Mhm.
and like before Skype was really the thing, I brought telephones and connected to like the internet. We were like doing phone calls and stuff like from Mexico and like Bali. I was even doing it. Then I was like, somebody goes, you can just do Skype. I'm like, really? It's like then that revolutionized. So we were digital nomads before there was any digital nomads. There was no such word, but we
Yeah.
were the first family traveling, working online.
So is that how the Unstoppable branding agency was created? Was that the start of it?
Yeah, it was actually this is so great. We created the Unstoppable family. You see this building? So that's Bingen. There's a hut. We lived in that place right on the edge of the cliff back in 2009, and we wanted to come up with a catchy. We're a year into our travel, and we're like, we need to brand ourselves something cool. So we called ourselves the Unstoppable Family. So after the Unstoppable Family, then I created Unstoppable Surfer. I created Unstoppable Beard. My wife was the Unstoppable Mama. My kid was unstoppable. Like we made everything unstoppable.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's how it. So then Unstoppable Branding Agency is how that came about.
So what's the focus of the agency? Like, do you help other brands? Like what is it? How do you?
Yeah, mostly it's on the PR side of things, and then business consulting. So typically the clients that I'm working with, they're about like 30 to 50 up to 100K clients, and establishing, most of them already have brands. They're typically making, 7 figures up to 8 figures, and then getting them published in PR like Forbes, Inc, Success, and then working on their media. And I only have like about 10 clients that I communicate on a consulting side of things, really how to help scale their business.
And that's been going on for the last what, 15
Been
years?
going on. It's evolved. We've had it for about 10 years, but now we're working with probably only we're firing about 80%, and not becoming more the boutique where we can more value less people, and it's working out really well that way.
That's
The
awesome.
people that pay the least amount usually are the biggest headaches. People that pay the amount, they wire you 50K and then they don't even want to talk to
That's the
you.
right. It's the one who's nitpicking about, I don't know if I can afford this, and then they're in your ear every day. I don't like this. I don't like that. It's like, "Shit,
uh,
I'm gonna fire you as being my client. It's not worth the trouble."
well, and that's also like so I was back. I got Warrior shirt on. I was like, I joined. I've been involved with Wake Up Warrior for the last 4 years, and really getting this last year, getting focused on all four core areas of my life with my health, fitness, your relationship with your wife, your family, spirituality, and then building, much more effective business. And what I've realized over this last year, it's like working with less people, more value, making it's happier on all sides. And yeah.
What's up, Savages? Thank you guys for watching or listening to the Savage Syndicate podcast. I appreciate it. I want to take a quick minute to talk to you guys about the Savage Syndicate group I created. I created the Savage Syndicate group with one goal in mind, inspiring you guys on how to become hard to kill. How to become hard to kill physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. Inside the Savage Syndicate group, you will have videos, 160 videos inside of a library, teaching you the fundamentals of striking, groundwork, situational awareness, tutorials on gas station safety, restaurant safety, large groups, multiple attackers. All of that is inside this library that I created for you. I also have my own personal workouts that I do every morning, all under 30 minutes. They're inside of here. I also have live Zoom calls, either hosting with myself or I have guests on who are professionals at becoming hard to kill. Whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, or financial, all of these are experts here and geared towards making you hard to kill. So go to www.savagesyndicategroup.com, sign up, see you on the inside, stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill.
That's
How did you come to that conclusion? Because I'm a part of masterminds as well, and I was
yeah.
always on the side of like, oh, I don't need a guru talking to me about this and that. I
Uh,
found so much value in joining these groups. It's like unbelievable. So how did you come to? I mean, he lives down the street, close to where I'm at. So
yeah, I
yeah,
know.
how did you get into that? How did you find him?
I wanted to hack one of his funnels about 6 years ago, and it like his VSL, his video sales letter. It was so compelling. I remember watching it, going, "How am I watching this for like a half hour?" And I wanted to funnel hack it to to um to model after it, and then I started listening to it, going, "Man, he's talking about having a better relationship with your wife, your health, and talking all these things. Like maybe I should listen to what he's selling." And that's how I became part of it.
Yeah,
Uh, and over these last, so I got involved like 4 years ago, but it was just dabbling in the low level things. I was kind of like that, just. And I always made an excuse that I live in Bali, so I can't go. It's too far of a travel. It was mostly me just not wanting to commit. And then every year it would go by, just like this time of the year. It's Thanksgiving, back in the USA. And I get to the end of the year and I'm like, man, all this shit that I said I'm going to do, I just never did it. And finally, this last year, I'm like, I'm turning 50 this next year. If I don't do this now and really stand up for what I want, I'm never going to do it. And I'm going to live in regret, live in a prison. I mean, it's interesting. Like, if you look at my like life, or let's say social media, where it's like he's living the perfect day. The guy's got it figured out. He's living in front of the best surfs when he wants, online business, incredible kid, relationship with his wife for the 25 years. But then you can live in a prison even while living in a paradise. And I'm like, I'm just not doing the shit. I'm good, but not great. And you're never going to be, you're never going to make it, right? It's that ongoing journey. The journey is the process. But I'm like, how can I do it, make the most impact with the people I surround myself with, and people like yourself that like connect with me? It's like I have to live in order to lead.
yeah.
But it's by what I do through my actions and not by what I say.
I just made a post today on social because I had a guy last time, Kevin Marin, and he was talking about gratitude and just being grateful for, my post was like, I get so caught up on achieving better things and doing this and a better life. And I do have amazing people around me. And it's like sometimes I just got to sit back and go, shit, I got to enjoy the ride, right? That's what I'm trying to do now is enjoy the ride. Yeah, I'm still trying to do better things,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty damn good right now. And I got to sit back and not be so hard on myself because I punish myself. I'm like, oh, no surfing today because I didn't achieve X, Y, Z. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years. And it's like, enjoy the ride as you're trying to achieve all these fun, great things.
The journey's the process, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna get the happiness. You're never gonna get like you just build this house, you got 2 villas, restaurant. I walk down to world class surf break in less. I can be out in the surf in less than 5 minutes, walking down with my dogs. And I'm still like in a prison. I'm like, whoa, dude. It's Here's a good book that just really changed my thought process on this. It's with Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, called The Who and Not the What. And or not wait, that's another book by it, but Living in the Gap versus the Gain. And so when I was sharing with you, like, look at my life, it's amazing how we put ourselves in these prisons of like lack or not being as far as ahead, we're not achieving something. But when you look at the whole overall grand scheme of things, I'm like, I do live in Bali. My wife loves me. I have a great relationship with my daughter. Like everything besides maybe this 5%, but I live in that what he calls the gap. And when you live in that, you're building yourself your own prison and beating yourself up. And it's like, well, if I look at the overall picture, I got a lot of shit, good shit going for me. What if I live in the gain of being appreciative and giving gratitude versus what I'm not doing? And,
Beating yourself
yeah,
up.
so that really, I finished that book about a month ago, and it really turned my perspective of framing of how I look at life.
Yeah.
Like,
Real quick, is Dan Sullivan living in the gap versus the gain? Is that what it was?
yeah, in the living in the gap versus gain,
Okay.
you can just go in Audible with Benjamin Hardy. But Dan Sullivan, he's a legend in like the coaching world. Like he's in the 70s. Some really good books. I've incorporated that with kind of what we've been doing in Warrior and kind of taking these tools and stuff and putting it together. And then it's been doing is it's like I start creating who like what does my business look like? So when I made this decision of firing, not saying I'm firing my clients, but I'm only going to be working. This is who I'm going to be working with. I designed that,
Mm.
right? And then I'm like, I'm testing it out. And I'm like, shit, this is working. And I'm getting fulfillment. People are paying more money, but I'm giving way more value and I'm making more impact. I'm like, this is a win-win.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like navigating life and figuring out what you really want and what you don't want.
Yeah. Well, I got that book. I'm a big reader and I love to read, so I'm going to put that one in there.
Yeah, all these are the three big ones, and they got a series on them. It's the who and not the what. It's finding out the right who's, like the people, because a lot of the big shit that we're doing in life, we try to like a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm just going to speak for myself. Is like I try to see on how I can personally do it, but it's finding the right people in order to make big shit happen.
Yeah.
And then another one is 10x is easier than 2x. It's like what are the conversations and what are the actions I'm taking that are going to 10x versus just grinding it out and working double as hard.
Yeah. I like it. I made the note of all those books, so they're going to be
Yeah.
read soon. I've doing some research on you. I saw that you said, "Tell me how the word how was the worst thing became your greatest asset."
Yeah. There's two things. My father dying, right, of AIDS. It was very by the time he died, it was more like, okay, it was his time because I saw him go from like 220 pounds down to like under 100 pounds. Like, you got to go. Um, but that, if it wasn't for that horrible thing, right, dying of AIDS, your father, there's no way that I would have went to Australia because I would have just stayed in there. But there was this calling. So it etched into my DNA of there's a bigger world and you're only guaranteed a certain amount of time in your life. You're never guaranteed another day. So that was one of the worst things. But then that's sculpted of me of who I am as a human being. I met my wife surfing. I'm from Illinois. I met my wife from Detroit 25 years ago this year, and we met surfing in San Diego. Like, what's the odds of
It was meant to
two
be.
Midwest people meet surfing? Like,
Yeah.
the odds have got to be extreme low. And then another thing was like one of the most impactful was I shared that when we lost everything in the '07-'08 real estate bubble, going from millions to broke, bankruptcy. That was it was a big mental mind fuck for like 2 years. I didn't even know what to do. I was just lawyers and lawsuits, and I'm just like, oh my God, how do I get out of this? And if that didn't happen, we would still be probably living in San Diego, living a good life. I might even be living on the golf course out in Arizona. My daughter would probably be a, you know, spoiled brat on drugs. Who knows? I don't, you never know what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
that was one of the heaviest things, that you turn your worst thing into one of your greatest assets.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
So,
So let's jump in now. So that's hard stuff right there. Talk about the Unstoppable Beard company that you started.
yeah. How that started was I grew a beard 8 years ago. I was on a marketing cruise, and I met this guy that he built marketing funnels for the Dollar Beard Club. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those videos, but they're fucking hilarious. And I watch these videos and I'm like, I'm gonna grow a beard just because of the funny videos. And then I had a beard for like 3 years, and we were making jokes, my wife and my daughter, that, hey, you're gonna make a beard company. And I'd always say I'm doing shit, and then I just didn't do it. And during COVID, like in July of 2020, my daughter looks at me and she goes, "Dad, you've been talking about this beard company for years. What's your excuse now for not moving?" She said something to where it's just like she called me out, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna start a beard company." So that's how it happened. Basically, running out of excuses of why I couldn't do it, because now we're not traveling, we're not doing shit. So started it to make my beard nice and soft, and I always knew also when it was more of a thing to uh, brand building, doing funny videos, and a lot of people will find me, and then they'll become part of our clients. So
Yeah.
it's one of those interbrands. As a branding agency, it's like, we got physical products too. So it's kind of a cool, fun project. I haven't been going hard. I had a split up with my business partner on there. I was funding the whole thing and I was doing most of the work. So I'm like, dude, this isn't working anymore. So, sales are coming here and there, but I haven't put a lot of time and effort into it as of late. I'm gonna bring it back probably by Christmas. I'm gonna do a sale and put out a new video.
Yeah. So it's just products for your beard and your hair and stuff like that. And
Yeah, like oil, balm, wash, make
yeah,
it so you don't have the 30-day itch, and then some of the not the gel, but like not the balm, but oh man, I can't even think of the name of it, like the paste and stuff. Yeah, and
yeah.
then and I said I was going to create my own surf wax. I didn't do that, so that's another thing that I still got to do.
There's a kangaroo goo that I used to have when I was a kid. It smelled so good, like coconut. And my son just got a bar of wax, and it smelled just like that. And it brought me right back to when I was a kid with that kangaroo goo. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, surf wax is man. You're out there with the warm water. I had all my warm water wax on my fingers from Cabo, and then I come out here and it's just all bubbly and like it's like bubble gum. It's all sticky and weird. Not in a good sticky way. It's like it turns.
yeah, I know what you mean.
So
Yeah,
when
I got a lot of hair on the belly and the chest. I get it all stuck in my fur.
yeah. Well, when you come out with the new wax, let me know. I don't have the beard. I can't be a client there, but when you come out with the
I
wax,
think I think we could grow you a beard. You just all you have to do is not shave.
well, I do sometimes because my wife likes to switch it up when I have a what do you call it, 5 o'clock shadow. She says, "Oh yeah, let it keep going," and then my son gets involved. So I've had some pretty big ones, but
Yeah,
surfing, it's a little weird. Like I can feel the water in there. It's like it's different. But I also do jiu-jitsu, and I don't like the rubbing on it and everything else
yeah,
like that. So
I get it.
but
I
yeah,
get it.
I think you said, scrolling through your Instagram that are you still training? I know you said you wanted to get into jiu-jitsu. Are you training out there in Bali?
I did one jujitsu class, and then I started doing Muay Thai. And I said I was gonna do my first fight by the 50. And I'm training, but I haven't done a whole lot. I'm going to Muay Thai here and there, but I haven't taken it full power. So now, like, you're like my daughter giving me a call back of like, when are you gonna do this shit, bro? So,
Yeah.
but no, I
No
train every
pressure, no
day
pressure.
with the CrossFit shred style, surf. But I've increased over the last year and a half, like 15 kilograms of muscle. So 33 pounds or 30 more, some pounds. So
Yeah.
while a lot of people are wanting to lose weight at this age, I want to get up to 200 pounds here in the next like 6 months.
Yeah. And what are you at right now?
193, I think.
Yeah. But like, I mean, look at you. What you say you were 49 or 48?
49, turning 50 May
I bet
next
you're
year.
better shaped than most men, like in their 20s.
Well, it's like I tore my hamstring surfing big ulus in uh COVID. It was like June of 2020, and I was becoming this yogi. I just started doing yoga every day. I don't know why the fuck I just started doing it. I was just like, I'm yoga guy, and and I I was didn't know that I was like actually weakening my body by just stretching all the time. That's why yoga people get hurt all the time. They just keep on doing yoga and stretching stuff out, but they're not working the core. And I have the video. I got a drone video of when my hamstring popped. I already took 3 beatings on big uluwatu, and it was like up to triple to quadruple overhead, and I, when it popped, it was right at sunset. It was a grade 2, and it was the most brutal trying to get in and then climbing the cliff of Uluwatu. I was like, I thought I was going to get left down at the bottom. But what I realized from there when I was getting better, and like my boys, like, you're supposed to rest it for 30 days, and I was the we already got invited to be the first people to open up macaronis in COVID, so macas, and I was supposed to leave in 3 days, and I'm like, I can't go. It's I got a torn hamstring. My one dude, he's just like this beast. He goes, "You're going." Like, I'm gonna do it. I can't surf. And he goes, "I'll get you up on a board in 7 days." I'm like, dude, everyone says it's 30 days, and they're like, "That's for wussies." Yeah, I'm here, and he's like, "Just do what I say." And I thought the guy was gonna kill me. Like, we were training, and I thought my hamstring, it was all black and blue. Lo and behold, on the 8th day, I was surfing overhead macas, and no one could believe it. It was the craziest thing. But I realized at that moment that, all right, stop doing this wussy stuff. You got to have impact and start doing, you know, like the CrossFit, like just different movements and working the core. I started getting into mobility when when I was going back out. I was getting rattled, like literally rattled on, and I'm talking, it's like triple overhead, quadruple overhead, you know, ulus, and it's gonna rattle people. But I was at a point thinking, I'm too old for this shit. And then I went, dude, if I have to hang this up, might as well cut my balls off and just like bury me now, because what do I got? Like, come on. So that's when I started like taking training really seriously, putting on the kilos, better health.
Yeah.
And now, like this last year, I was out in, big stuff, but like I didn't get rattled. I was more like, from the impact and stuff, much more, it's like, I got this, you know?
I find now with recovering from injuries or anything, it's more mental. I was talking to somebody yesterday about they have a tournament for jiu-jitsu coming up. I said, I wish I could help you, but I get so mind fucked before tournaments, or like my son just got in Cabo a big hold down. His board was tombstoning. I got him in time, obviously, but like the mindset to overcome that stuff is harder
Mhm.
now as I'm older. As a kid or younger in my 30s, I would just say fuck it and go. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
got to do this. I got to do this right. I've had shoulder surgery, arm surgery recently, and it's like, how soon can I be back in the water, and just push and push and pushing. But yeah, it's always. I have my wife going, "Don't do that. You're going to be right back in the same spot." And it's like it's a constant mental battle. Like we think we can get back in there sooner than later, but yeah, like charging big surf. It's like it's a mind battle for sure.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
speaking of the surfing, you have create your perfect day, the surf method of how to succeed each and every day in life and business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did a video like 12 years ago, and I was coming out with my course. It's gonna be this year. I did a this video exercise. You can just type in on YouTube, create your perfect day. And I did this video of like, what would your life look like, you know, if you knew your days were numbered, you had an expiration date, who are the people that you would be surrounding yourself, your spouse, friends, what kind of projects would you be working on? So it's a whole dreamscaping of what paint a picture of what your life would look like. And that was something, it was probably 12, 13 years ago, but that was while we had affiliate marketing. I've done a lot of talks on stage, living like living the core four and you're living your perfect day. And that's what it's about, really being able to dreamscape. If you knew you had an expiration date, what are the things that you'd be doing? And building on that, you know, your health, fitness, spirituality, relationships, and business.
Yeah.
And then what I did, I also tied it into when you have all four of those pillars, like there's one thing that's just your passion that feeds every single one of them. And if you're not doing that, all these other ones will be off. So if I'm not surfing and or I'm not snowboarding, so when I go in the mountains for like for rainy season, if I'm not surfing or snowboarding, man, it starts throwing everything else off,
My wife tells me she could tell when I haven't been in the water for very long. She's like, "You're a little crabby. Go get in the water." I'm like, "Well, it's flat." She goes, "I don't care. Go get in the water. You need to cheer up." So,
Absolutely.
but speaking of that, I think I just saw your wife walk by. You've been married for 25 years. I've been married for 17.
Yeah.
I I love being married. You got those guys who complain and bitch and do all that. I love being married. Talk to us, like, what's the secret to being married for 25 years in a happy relationship?
Mm.
Patience.
No, she's gonna come in.
Patience.
I,
Hi there.
I'm always working on patience.
Yeah, a lot of patience.
Yeah.
And freedom. Giving each other the freedom to be.
My parents are married 50 and they say the same thing. They said, have your own passions. It's like he loves golfing and F1 racing, and she loves to shop and do her thing. And that's what my dad they both have always said, have your own passions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also shot a video. I was going to post it on Unstoppable Surfer, but being able to collide, having healthy, conflict. And it may sound counter, but it's when you look at it the other way of sweeping things under the rug and not dealing with it, you're gonna boil to like a rage. So you got to be able to collide on a weekly basis at least
Yeah.
on what you believe in. It's not about arguing. It's about really coming to things to where you're both understanding. So like now when there's like conflict, we're like, okay, that's it. Great. Now we got it out. Let's move on.
Yeah. How has you said you had the one daughter. How has it been for her? Because we travel a lot with our son, and he doesn't have a really good core group of friends. How has your daughter grown and lived her life on the road and abroad?
So my daughter, she was always going to school, so she loved going to school, and then she dropped out like at 11 years old while we're here. So she's been homeschooled. Not necessarily she's homeschooled by us and by just watching as us as entrepreneurs, but she's always had a couple mentors, like art mentor, writing mentor. Now she's doing some school stuff. But so she's got a group of friends. She's turning 17 in April, and she's at this like kind of this nervous part of her life of what do I do? And I'm like, there's no rush on anything. So now her friends, society's showing, or like, you got to go do this, go to school. And I'm like, you're an entrepreneur. You can do whatever. You're an incredible artist. She had her first fashion company when she was 11. She created six figures at the age of 11. So she already knows how to be an entrepreneur and generate. But, it's like she's got her friends surfing. COVID, they were just surfing like crazy right out here and binging all the time. But they go through phases, Yeah. So
That's
now
awesome.
she's, what do I do?
Yeah, as I tell my son, he's like, "Do I got to go to what college do I go to?" I said, "Well, start your own business at 18, and you can do whatever you want. Like the world is your oyster. Just don't think you have." Because I grew up the old school way, where my dad said, "Go to college, get a 9 to 5, retire when you're 70, and you don't even have time to enjoy it." And when I went out on my own in 2011, he's like, son, I think you're making a mistake. I said, I got to do it. I'm not made for this corporate bullshit. And so,
Yeah,
sounds like your daughter's got a great head on her shoulders.
absolutely. No, she's a great human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I try to stay respectful of the time limit here, but I do want to ask you. You met one of my idols. I've been going to. I've seen him probably over 20 shows, and he just passed away. But you met him, and you and your wife, and tell me about that encounter with Jimmy Buffett.
I actually had to get out of our suite in Panama. I was in Bocas del Toro, Panama. We're living in the penthouse suite of this hotel, and they're like, Mr. Brian, you're gonna have to move the suite for like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, why? Oh, we're gonna charge you full price because I was getting a discount because we were staying there. I'm like, well, who's coming in? And they're like, Jimmy Buffett. I'm like, Jimmy Buffett's gonna take our suite? I'm like, that's cool. So there's only like it's a 10-bedroom, 10-room boutique hotel in the Caribbean of Panama. And we saw him down at having breakfast, and he had just fell off the stage like a month or two before in Australia when he fell off the stage and had to cancel the rest of his tour. And I'm like, hey, how was that? And he goes, scrambled my brain. So he goes, now I just have to get back in the ocean. I'm surfing. And so we just had a little chat on that, took a picture with them and signed the shirt for them. But it was pretty cool. I've seen him many times in concert, but just probably about 15-20 minute conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome. I grew up, my parents were sailors, so we would sail to Catalina out here and listen to Jimmy Buffett. He's like he's like the playlist of my life, and none of my friends get it. They're like, oh, Jimmy Buffett or whatever. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, that guy was always part of all of my good memories have Jimmy Buffett in the background playing. So that one, for not knowing him, that one hit a little harder than most people when they pass away. But well, Brian, I really appreciate it. Like, how do people reach out to you if they want to learn more about the Unstoppable Agency, or Unstoppable Beard Company, anything like that? How they reach out to you?
Yeah, you can send me a DM on Unstoppable Surfer in Instagram. My website, officialbrianswan.com, or typing in Googling Unstoppable Branding Agency. That's .com.
Perfect.
Send me a DM. You can do that.
I always say
that's how we connected, right?
100%. Yeah. Like, people ask, how do I get guests on my show? I slide into their DMs and just ask, right? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. That's what I always say.
Exactly. No, and you can connect with a lot of people. It's amazing on how you can get access to people.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to respect your time, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. You have any closing thoughts or want to wrap it up? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think that's I'm going to say it again because it means so much. Is that you just think about if you knew what your expiration date. I did this talk from stage. I'm probably going to do it when I go to Nepal in a couple weeks for this event. And what I'll do is I'll go out on stage and I'll look at so for instance, it's November 21st here in Bali. So I'll look December, January, February, March, April, May. So I'm like, so May 21st, 2024, what does that mean to you? And nobody, there might be something pop up. And I'm like, now you have 6 months left to live. Well, now what is May 21st, 2000? And it's like, gets their whole mind going. Because you're never guaranteed another day. And start doing this shit now. Because, man, I have so many people there like, oh, I'm going to come and visit you in Bali. They've been saying this for 8 years. And then when it was COVID, they're like, oh, I would be out there except for COVID. Once it opened.
Yeah, there's always something.
Yeah. Live life like maybe your last.
Yeah, I like that. Reverse engineer what you want, right? 6 months from now, reverse engineer it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Brian, thank you so much. Great way to end it. I really appreciate it. All the savages out there, stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill. Thank you, Brian.
Woo.
What's up, savages? Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to that podcast. I really appreciate it. If you guys want more information or more content like this, visit me at www.savagesyndicategroup.com, where you could also join the Savage Syndicate group where I have over 160 videos in a library of all things teaching you guys how to become hard to kill. So again, I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill.